This is the Financially Simple Podcast, the show dedicated to destroying the complexities of money for today's small business owner. The content in the show is for informational purposes only. This show is not investment advice. Instead, seek help from a competent financial advisor or conduct your own due diligence. Justin Goodbread, CFP, is an investment advisor representative of Heritage Investors, a registered investment advisor only conducting business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Here's your host, pizza-loving, certified financial planner, Justin Goodbread.
And welcome back to the Financially Simple Podcast. Today, we are still in the cash flow deep dive for personal finances for business owners. Today, after dealing with budgets so much over the last 5, 6, 7, 10 episodes, I want to give you some quick help. And one of the questions came through Twitter and it said, "Hey, buddy, I've been listening to your podcast, and how can I make a quick buck for my income?" The individual and I ended up talking on the phone, somebody I'd never met before, and I thought they had an interesting question. So I wanted to turn this into a podcast right about where we're at right now. Perhaps you've been looking at your budget. Justin said the B word again. He never quit saying the B word. Perhaps you've been looking at your budget. I'm not going to say it too many more times. Or perhaps you've been looking at some of these cash flow ideas I've talked about. We still got a lot more to go on cash flow ideas, but you're like, Justin, man, how can I make a quick buck? My business is not where it needs to be, where I can increase my income. I'm hiring my kids. I'm paying for my house, but I'm just not there yet. Or maybe you're not. Maybe you purchased the debt course. So you went to financiallysimple.com, you bought the debt course, and you're getting out of debt, and you're like, man, I know I'm busting it, but man, I can be out of debt in 24 months. Is there a way how to increase that or how to speed that up, make it more rapid? Look, I'm not about to sit here on a podcast and give you all the various ideas you can do to help make money. If you Google it, side hustles, I saw an article, 80 side hustles. It was full of clickbait, but there's lots of ideas. There's 20 quick ways. I saw that when you can make money fast. I mean, just Google how to make money fast. I mean, I'm sure there's probably a quadrillion different, if there's such a word, a quadrillion, whatever the number is, articles on how to make money fast. My thoughts is this. I want you to pair your dream with your desired resources, your desires and your resource. At the end of this podcast, it's going to be a relatively quick one. I want you to know that you can create extra income. If you're watching us on YouTube, as so many people are now, we're recording the podcast for individuals who want to sit at their desk and just watch it on YouTube. I have many people request that, so we begin doing that. Maybe you're watching on YouTube. Hey, if you never visited the YouTube channel on that segue there, just check it out. We got lots of videos over there. Got a lot of quick 3-minute, 4-minute, 5-minute ones. If you're not driving in the car and you're like, man, I want to listen to you at work, you may want to just throw this on YouTube, put it on a tab and shut it off and put some earphones in. Maybe you want to connect with us, by the way, on Twitter, like so many people did, like this individual. He said, hey, I want to help me make some quick income for my family. So I want to give you 4 different ideas that can help you. I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do. That's in you and your world. Maybe your spouse is not involved in the business. Maybe you employ them and they do some basic work, but there's some things they can do on the side. So I want to give you 4 ideas. The first thing you can do to make extra income is you can use your current assets. You can rent stuff. So for example, you can rent your house. Now, I'm not talking about Section 280A. I'm talking about maybe you go out and while you're on vacation, you rent your house out on Airbnb. You make it available where someone rents your house out. You're like, Justin, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm just giving you an idea. You have an asset that's not going to be utilized for potentially a week or 10 days. What better way than having a company like an Airbnb or bed and breakfast? Anyways, there's lots of them out there. My mind just went blank on it. So you can use a company like that and they will help you. Some of them have protection policies against damage to your property. So maybe you rent out your house. Maybe you have a motorhome that's just sitting out back and you're going to let somebody rent your motorhome. They're going to cover the fuel. They're going to cover some of the maintenance. If it breaks, you can charge them for it. So you can rent your motorhome. Maybe you have an old boat sitting out back. It's the summertime and no one's using your boat. You put on there, hey, pontoon boat for rent for this weekend. They have them sign a liability waiver. You rent your boat out. Maybe you have a piece of raw land. I actually saw one individual who had raw land and they put a teepee on the land, actually built a canvas teepee. I mean, it looks really cool. It's huge. And the teepee stays rented. It actually has a waiting list for people to rent the teepee and sleep in an authentic Indian teepee. There's so many ideas that you can do with your current assets. Maybe you have a piece of property. We have a piece of property, this gorgeous piece of property overlooking the lake. Maybe you can build it instead of a campfire area and you have a private exclusive camping area and you rent that out. What I'm trying to get you to say is you might have an asset that is not being utilized right now. It's something you've already paid for that you can rent out, that you can create a rental agreement. There's places online that you can rent power tools to each other. There's companies that do that for you. You can sign up to rent your power tools. I have a tractor. Maybe I could rent my tractor when I'm not utilizing it. So you could rent your current assets and turn quick cash. Just an idea you could do. The other thing you can do is manufacture a product. You can actually use your hobby or your smarts, something you love to do, and you can actually turn it into a side business. Burt's Bees, or the Burt's Beeswax is what they create, like with lip balms and stuff. Maybe you've seen it. It actually started as a hobby, and then it went big. Maybe it went big. So you can theoretically do that. My little girl, Savannah, last year, she wanted to go to New York on a mission trip with our church. And I said, so sweet, baby, I want you to go, and Daddy and Mama will go with you. And we did. We had a blast. We saw parts of New York I'd never been to. We also were able just to be loved and love on people there, just encourage people. It changed my life, literally changed my life watching that trip. And I wanted my daughter to do it, but I wanted her to also realize that a trip like that is an expense on the family. It is. And so I wanted her to have some impact. Well, one of the things that she liked to do, and she still loves to do, is she loves to make these crazy bath bombs, these salts, this mixture of stuff that you drop in the bathtub. And when you get in there, it makes it all soft water. It makes your skin feel good. I got to tell you, don't think odd of me. It actually does really cool stuff. I like eucalyptus. And so one day they drew me a eucalyptus bath and threw a eucalyptus bath bomb in there. Let me tell you, I thought I died and seen Jesus. It was great. After a long, stressful day at work. So what she did is she started making these bath bombs, and she made them, and we sold them and went to a little county fair in the little community there. She sold bath bombs. Her and her mama sat there, and I helped her in a couple of days, and she literally, but we helped her buy the chemicals. We helped her buy the product. She manufactured, she put it together on her own accord on the afternoons and the evenings after her schoolwork, after her other work duties, after the farm duties. She would push these things together. She ended up making like $2,000 I think it was $2,000 in gross sales. Unbelievable. And she paid for her trip, and she had money left over that she got to give away. She gave some money away to some of the people in New York. Just warmed my heart. But she was able to manufacture a product. Maybe your family likes to do things like that you can manufacture and sell. That's an idea that you can do to make a quick buck.
You're listening to the Financially Simple Podcast. Show your support by subscribing to this and our other educational business channels at financiallysimple.com.
Number 3, you could use your skills and your spare time. Maybe it's not you, the business owner, who's working 80, 90 hours a week, but maybe it is your spouse. Maybe they could use their skills. One of the biggest things that business world uses right now is virtual assistants. Maybe your spouse could be a virtual assistant. Maybe they could write a blog for somebody. Maybe you can split wood, cut grass. I remember my mom, she was working a full-time job at the hospital, wanted to teach us boys how to create a job, and she spent her spare time creating a little bit of income for our family so we could cover some of our own expenses, and she taught us entrepreneurship. It was because my dad worked at the Georgia Port Authority in South Georgia. Mom worked at the hospital full time. They busted it. I'm telling you, they busted it for us. I owe them so much. And their wisdom in their spare time. Now, we didn't do a lot of sports and stuff. We weren't dedicated to the God of sports. But in their spare time, they taught us business. They taught us work. And they literally drove us around. When I was 15 years old, she would drive, and I would drive when she was with us, and I had my learner's permit. And we would go and cut grass. And that turned into a job, and that led into 2 sons who are now successful business owners. But it also drove some quick income to our family. So in your spare time, you can use your skills. You can use what you know, and you can go be a benefit to somebody in your community on a service type industry. Or through the internet, you can create a virtual portal where you're a virtual assistant, so to speak, a writer, a transcriber. I mean, there's so many things you can do out there in your spare time that you can make money off of. Very good money, might I add. You could create a resale environment. Now, my wife, do not send this podcast to my wife. And Brian, I know you're listening to this, which is my wife's brother. If you send this to Emily, I will disown you. He's going to be laughing right about now because he loves to pick on my podcast. You can buy and resell. Buy and resell. My wife loves to buy. She hates to resell. So buy and resale works this way. You go to a yard sale, you find something at the yard sale, you pay $5 for it, and you realize, hey, this $5 item here that we just paid $5 for, it's really worth $10 or it's really worth $20. So you go on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. I like Facebook Marketplace because you can actually look at who's buying your stuff. You go to Facebook Marketplace and you list the item for that you paid $5 for $10 and they come pick it up from you. Hello, you just made $5. That's a buy and resell strategy. Maybe you go to the store and you see a coat that's ordinarily $75. You go on eBay and say, man, these things are selling for $75. You pick it up for $30. Try and sell it for $60. Hello, I just made $25. That's a buy and resell environment. You can do this and you can make a quick buck. You say, well, Justin, I'm slammed with business. Look, I know we are all busy. I'm just giving you ideas that you and your family can use your time, your resources, your talents, your abilities to create revenue outside of your day job, so to speak, your business. You can do things that will impact your family for generations, like my parents did. Friends, we're in this cash flow scenario of our lives. We're trying to build up cash flow to make our personal finances secure. Maybe you're not a business owner right now that you've been in business for 15, 20, 30 years. Maybe you've been in business for a short period of time and you're trying to figure out how to get off the ground. Whenever I entered the financial world, I am not ashamed to say this. I am not ashamed to say this. In 2003, my wife and I had sold our first business at that point, and she was making about $6 an hour. That was minimum wage at the time. She was working for a charity. College educated, super smart, love her to death, super smart. She could work and make tons of money, but she was working for a charity. Here I am, entrepreneur, bored with life, and I went to work, I'm not exaggerating, picking up cigarette butts for a landscape company. Yours truly, Justin Goodbread, who writes for Forbes, writes for Kiplinger, and the top 100 financial advisors in the country. He started his career picking up cigarette butts. Not ashamed of that. Not ashamed of that at all. I was a subcontractor for a landscape company. What was I doing? The whole time I said, I'll work with you and I'll do whatever you want me to do as long as I can listen to the recordings for my testing. And I did. They said, yeah, please, no problem. As long as you're not near the road, please listen to recordings. So as I put earphones in and I sat there with a Walkman on my side with CDs and I would listen to the CFP material. And I was just listening to it as I was picking up cigarette butts, not even practicing at that point, just listening. And that's how I came into the business. So maybe you're at that point. Maybe you're at the point where I'm at now and you have a successful business and you're like, thank you, Jesus, for your blessings. And you're like, man, how can we teach this to our next generation? 4 ways. You can use your current assets. You can manufacture a product. You can use your skills in your spare time, and you can create a resale environment. Those are 4 quick ways you can use to make money for you and your family at this point. I hope that helps you. I hope it drives some energy and some thoughts in your life. Look, we're going to continue to make our lives at least financially simple because life is hard, life is good, and life can be frustrating, and money doesn't have to be. We're going to continue to make our lives at least financially simple. Hey, you guys go out and make it an outstanding day.
You've been listening to the Financially Simple Podcast. For more business and personal financial help and information, head over to financiallysimple.com today.